Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. It's me, the curator. So, today we bring you Chapter 4, Graduation. This is all the cadets graduating. Yay! So, essentially what's going on is this is just kind of the final moments of their little training bits. So they're getting their graduation ceremony, going from one place to another, and then they do a little bit of celebration afterwards and get introduced to their new companions. Anyways, I won't drag this on for too long, so thanks for listening. This is Chapter 4. Chapter 4. Graduation 0442, October 12th, 2160. Feke de Hague Base, Sidoria. I sat inside a transportation vehicle. With the training wrapped up, we have a graduation ceremony to attend. It's more of a formality, and a few days ago we were given our papers, our job titles, squads we were assigned to. Most of the company has been split up amongst the different Cosmic Ranger units. We sat in a van. In the middle of the vehicle, I looked out the window. Shortly after, everyone else buckled in, and Kyle did a head count to make sure everyone was there. After that, we began driving away from the base towards the ceremony in Topaz City. While we drove, I kept thinking about everything that has happened since induction day. We trained for 4 years straight. Day in, day out, we became proficient with guns, knives, Cosmic Ranger suits, trained in BJJ, Judo, and other martial arts. We also learned various languages: German, Mandarin, Russian, Spanish, Japanese. I'm mostly proficient in Mandarin, Russian, and Spanish. I ranked around the top of my class out of 216 cadets. I placed in spot 28. David placed in spot 79, Kristen in spot 90, and Amy in spot 102. And Kyle placed the best out of all of us, in spot 11 out of 216. He really did outperform all of us. Kyle was physically superior to most of us, and nearly as smart as all of us too. The man was a force to be reckoned with in terms of strategy. His one thing that he lacked in was self-preservation. In training, Kyle frequently failed operations for being too caring towards his comrades, unwilling to let even the dead be left behind amidst the battle. I commend him for being a good friend and even a good soldier. But sometimes, however unfortunate it may seem, we do have to leave people behind for the sake of the mission, and for the sake of you being able to come home to your family. Kyle damn near didn't even finish training because he kept failing and dying while trying to save other people. He was good at what he needed to do and always went out fighting, but he just couldn't leave those who were considered lost. It took several attempts, but he finally passed and overcame his instincts to protect everyone and focus on his mission. The training wasn't so much about forgetting your comrades if they're wounded. Of course, protect them, but if you're unable to do everything that you need to do, progress, you're going to get your comrades killed. Rather than retreat and get out of there, dude, that's a problem. I believe Kristen did pretty well in her training, though I don't think she always had it quite in her to do the dirty work. Almost like she was too soft at the moment, and I think it's mainly because she doesn't have the same drive as some of us. Kristen was fortunate after the Mothership 15 incident. She only lost her brother. Both of her parents survived the affair, and honestly, I envy her in some ways. She's still able to sympathize with those animals. In training, I was known for almost being too cold for the job. Many said if I didn't have this vendetta against the TCP, I'd be perfect fit for a government spook, working for Sector 13 or something. But honestly, don't want to do that as a job. Hell, if I didn't have this vendetta, I'm not even sure if I would have chosen this career to begin with. But training is over. One ceremony remains, and then we're shipped off to the fight, and we finally get to face them. Some other news though: Kyle and Kristen have discussed marriage. The two have been together for about 8 years now. I remember a time when they first began dating, and I was pretty happy that they got together. One of those little child crushes. Those were the days. Hell, I remember when I had a childish crush on Amy. Unfortunately, it's kind of been pushed to the back of my mind. I have too many things going on to really go down that rabbit hole. Besides, I really shouldn't be dragging her down in this phase of life with me. The vehicle slowed down and came to a stop. "This is the destination, Ashkai Convention Center," said David. The vehicle doors opened and we stepped out, taking in the air and admiring the large building. The building had a bright tan color scheme and stood around 6 stories tall. They had numerous banners from different companies hosting conventions here. even a large metallic fountain in the center of the walkway, spewing water periodically. "Man, this place is huge," said Kyle, as he spun around, looking at the numerous large buildings surrounding the convention center. "Topaz City is the second largest city on the planet side," said Amy. "Honestly, I was expecting it to be smaller." "Let's head inside. They're probably expecting us," I said. "Come on. Can't admire the beauty of the city for a minute?" replied David sarcastically. "Oh, sure, it's beautiful for sure. However, I'm not a fan of losing time either," I replied, while the others stood around and took photographs with their phones. "Let's take a group photo," said Kristen. The others gathered around and Kristen took out her phone. We didn't have a tripod, so we couldn't really set it and walk away. "Matt, could you take the photo for us? I'll swap out for the second one," said Kristen. "Sure," I replied. She tossed me her phone and everyone gathered around. David put up the peace sign, Kyle did the rock on hand sign, CJ did little bunny ears behind Kyle's head. I took one photo and then another. "We're good," I said and turned the phone towards Kristen. She broke away from the group and swapped places with me, and I went back to the group. I put up a rock on hand pose and she took a few photos. "Everybody looks so good," she said. We walked back over and examined the photos together, commenting and laughing at our dumb poses and faces we made before we went inside, and the ceremony will soon begin. 0700 hours, October 12th, 2160. Ashkai Convention Center, Topaz City, Sidoria. Since arriving at the convention center, we practiced our little routine, who was speaking and what things would happen next. Then the cadets' families and friends arrived around 600 hours and filled in the seats around us. The cadets sat at the center of the large convention hall, squarely in front of the microphone stand. We wore our Class A uniforms, very lavish uniforms, mostly gray with some yellow trim and small ribbons above our left breast pocket. It was pretty uncomfortable to wear, a little itchy, but manageable. "Hot, said one of our commanding officers. It was Colonel Milton Amsel. We prepared and snapped to attention. The color guard came out, 2 riflemen, one with the UEC flag and another with the Kazakh Ranger flag. They stopped, turned, and faced us, lowering the UEC flag and the Kazakh Ranger flag, with the UEC flag raised higher than the other. As the UEC national anthem began, we saluted the flags. When the anthem finished, the color guard exited the stage, and Milton took center stage. "Good morning, cadets," he said. We all replied in unison, "Good morning, sir!"
At ease.
We all sat down to listen to the colonel.
"I want to thank the families for coming here today. I am glad you guys are here. These brave men and women have worked hard to finish their Kazakh Ranger training. Today we're here to celebrate the graduating class of 2160. But something to know, these are not the same people you knew before this training. These are people who were broken down into weapons of war to serve in preserving the peace of the Sol system, and one day the outer colonies as well. These men and women endured hell. Those who stand amongst us are the strongest, the bravest, managing to succeed and becoming warriors before you. They are here to fight for our peace, for our nation, for everything we have created. You are a new link in a never-ending chain of patriots that have come before you. Your oath of office connects you to a line of soldiers stretching back to our country's founding. In a larger sense, it grows from ancient, timeless roots, reflecting the commitment of a youth long ago who believed freedom is worth defending. In terms of serving something larger than yourself, yours is the same oath that was taken by the young men of ancient Athens. They pledged to fight for the ideals and the sacred things of their city, to revere and obey the city's laws, and do their best to incite a like respect in others, to pass on their city-state far greater and more beautiful than they had received it. In that sense, it is fitting that the cadet cover you wear today for the last time features the helmet of the Greek goddess Athena, echoing a respect for civic duty that is found in a republic and a nation. Simple that thought is. So long as our nation breeds patriots like you, defenders who look past hot political rhetoric of our day and rally behind our flag, that the army tradition of serving our country will never die. To a high and remarkable degree, the people respect you. We in the Department of Defense recognize that there's a lot of passions running about in our country, as there ought to be in a vibrant republic. But for those privileged enough to wear our cloth of our nation, to serve in the Upnik Army, you stand ramparts, unapologetic, apolitical, defending our experiment in self-governments, and you hold the line. You hold the line, faithful to duty, confronting our nation's foe with impeccable will, knowing that if there is a hill to climb, waiting will not make it any smaller. You hold the line, true to honor, living by a moral code regardless of who is watching, knowing that honor is what we give ourselves for a life of meaning. Hold the line, loyal to a country defending the Constitution, defending our fundamental freedoms, knowing that, from your challenging years here on the Hudson, that loyalty only counts when there are hundreds of reasons not to be. So, fight for our ideals and our sacred things, and cite respect and love for our country and fellow patriots, and leave this country greater and more beautiful than you inherited it, for that is the duty of every generation. To the families here today, I can only say thank you. Apples do not fall far from the tree. Thank you for the men and women you raised to become soldiers. And thank you too, old shipmate Lieutenant General Offerman. You and your team coaxed these men and women along the long gray line. They will write the Army's story, and in doing so, they will carry your spirits into our nation's history. For duty, for honor, for country, hold the line. Congratulations, class of 2160. May God bless the UEC.
What a speech, huh? I mean, it almost makes me feel like I want to stay here. Fat chance. I did my 4 years of cadet training. I'm out of here. The colonel left the podium, and others were there to present awards and ribbons. After the ceremony ended, everybody had to stand at parade rest, while families went around to find us and grab us. We could not move until they touched us. I didn't have anybody. After leaving the asteroid, it turns out my mother and brother were killed not long after they were torn away from me. And so I'm stuck here, watching the other families come out and hug those who were there, the little siblings, nieces, nephews. But I remained stoic and strong while each person would be taken. At the end of that, there were only a few of us who remained, most of us who didn't have any families too. Only Kyle and I remained in our platoon. Drill Sergeant Thompson would come over after about an hour of standing there. "Those of you who are still here, you are dismissed," he said before leaving us. Days later, we would be assigned to our new units. Based on recruit training squads, we would be assigned to a new captain, a lieutenant, and a couple more experienced officers. We had been assigned to Foxtrot 26. Commanding officer was Cole Jones. More letters arrived with it, detailing that we would be deployed to the Fandago system here soon. So I'd finally get to go back to that damn system, huh? How wonderful. We had a nice ceremony afterwards. Nice food, even some champagne, but I'm not much of a drinker, so I had Kyle tell me what it was like. He said it was mighty tasty, though I suppose I'll have to take his word for it, right? When we got back, First Lieutenant Brian Douglas was present. I was actually kind of expecting him to be pissed with us. From previous experience during basic training, I know many of the low-ranking officers, and presumably the higher ones too, always have a pole up their ass. And they'll get on your case for just breathing. Cole walked in right afterwards, along with some other senior squad members. I felt nervous. "Welcome back, graduates. Hope you all had a good time. I know I did. Frankly, it's good to see some new faces on our team. Cole and I go way back during the first half of this war. Both of us served during the invasion of Mesada, so you guys are in good hands. If you need anything, let me know. I'll see what we can do to help you find a solution. If you haven't heard though, we're being deployed in 15 days to Fandago 4, said Brian. My name is Captain Cole Jones. I lead this squad, and you're all my greenhorns. So try to remember what's what. If you don't know, ask questions. Wandering blindly leads to disaster. Brian and I are here to ensure you are an effective team, and most of you come back home. But I'll state this, not all of us will make it back home. Not even I am guaranteed to survive this war. Now, this may seem like school, but introduce yourselves. I know the team's names, but I don't know which name goes with who. Cole pointed at Kyle. You first, Pumpkin.
Lance Corporal Kyle Rosa, said Kyle. Cole pointed at Kristen. Private First Class Kristen Danson, said Kristen. Then he pointed to CJ.
Private First Class Carmen Johnson. But you can call me CJ, said CJ. Then he pointed to Tucker. Lance Corporal Tucker Norwood. Norwood? Are you related to Abby Norwood? Interrupted Cole. No, sir, I only have brothers, said Tucker.
What the hell are the odds of that?
Asked Brian. Good gambling odds, said one of the other soldiers.
Cole pointed to David.
Private First Class David Black.
Cole pointed at me.
Private First Class Matthew Noble, I said.
Cole pointed at Amy.
Private First Class Amy Miller,
said Amy. Amy was the last one, and Cole looked at all of us. He was a very tall man, much taller than the majority of us.
Alright, now we'll introduce ourselves.
He pointed at the man who made the gambling joke.
That is Staff Sergeant Mason Hicks. Next to him is Second Sergeant Jupiter. Jupiter doesn't talk much, nor take off his helmet. He likes his wrist swords, and one of the best with them.
Mason was tall and bulky. Jupiter was shorter and wore a blacked-out visor.
Those two ladies who are standing there who look like twins but aren't are First Corporal Abby Norwood and Corporal April Crippler.
They really did look related. Dark brown hair, green eyes, similar smiles. I'm surprised they aren't.
The last three are Lancer Mitch Kipp, Private First Class James, and Lance Corporal Jamie Downs. Mitch is our knife guy and usually has at least 6 knives. And Jamie is probably the second quietest in the group. Cole finished.
Well, now the introduction is over, you all hit the hay and get some sleep. Sleep off that booze, said Brian. I feel good almost. I know I fostered deep hatred for the TCP for a very long time. I still harbor hatred for them. But I almost feel healed. Since I lost my family, I finally feel like I'm actually healing those wounds. Almost like a second family for me. It's pretty strange to me. In training, I was known for my hatred, my sheer rage that emanated from me. But throughout those 4 years, I suppose it kind of subsided. Training side by side with my classmates, David, Amy, Kristen, Kyle, it changed me. I know not to fester my hatred like I did when I was a boy, but I have my new mission, protecting my family. Well, that's it, folks. That's the end of Chapter 4. So I apologize right now, but this is the end of the story for Chapter 4. I will progress with Chapter 5 eventually. Stay tuned, comrades. Eventually, Chapter 5 will come out, and it will be glorious for the first campaign. That is all for now. Goodbye.